Hello and welcome to Retrocore. We all know about Sega, Taito, Konami, Capcom, SNK, Data East and so on, but what about the lesser known arcade manufacturers? Maybe you know about TAD Corporation or Tatsumi. What about Korean developers? Back when Japan was knocking out classics, Korea was basically still in the primitive age of arcade games. One of the very first Korean arcade manufacturers was SunA. Like with many early companies, not all of their products are completely original, though they copied somewhat to a lesser degree than most developers at the time. In the late 90s, they started building more and more gambling machines rather than real games, a business which completely took over from 2000 on. Let's take a look at some of SunA's arcade hits, or at least in Korea they were. The very first game from SunA came out in 1987. This was Gunny Doll, a hybrid of Arkanoid and pinball. The idea of the game is to either clear all the blocks on screen or have the titular Gunny Doll reach the bottom of the screen. With 100 stages, this game will take some serious dedication to complete. The main game is basically Arkanoid. As you hit certain blocks, power-ups will fall, enabling you to grow your bat or turn it into a shooting plane. At the top of the screen are two roulette windows showing a number. If you manage to have both of these numbers pair up, you will receive a bonus power up, or better still, have all the blocks on the screen automatically removed. Sometimes Gunny Doll himself will throw you a power up to help in your quest to save him. Overall, this is a pretty reasonable little game and not a bad first title. It plays well, looks fine for the time, and isn't harsh on the ears. A good start for SunA. SunA's next game, Rough Ranger, which came out in 1988, is exactly that, a Rough Ranger. This is a Rolling Thunder knockoff, and quite an ugly one at that. Compared to SunA's previous game, this looks way older. The gameplay is just like Rolling Thunder, even right down to how the character jumps from floor to floor. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel anything like Rolling Thunder. Rough Ranger is quite stiff to play, with awkward physics and some very poor stage design, making the jumping quite annoying. The stage variety is also lacking. The first few areas are fine, I guess, but after the 4th or 5th stage, we start seeing rehashes of the previous stages, making this 10-stage game seem rather boring. The enemies never change either, apart from some colour variants and these gremlin type things that appear from stage 2. Overall, this is a very poor looking and playing game for 1988. Coming out the same year as Rough Ranger and using the same hardware was Hardhead, And it seems that SunA were not having a good year in 1988, because this is another bloody shuddy arcade game. Not only are the character designs repulsive, but so is the game. Games like Psycho Fox and the Master System look a million times nicer than this, and play much better also. It seems SunA were not very good at physics, as the jumping in this game is quite janky. The character jumps in an arch, but kinda jitters halfway through the jump, which is very off-putting. Sparkman was next, coming out in 1989, although it looks more like a PC Engine game than an arcade game. Actually, this is using recycled assets from Hardhead and Rough Ranger. The gameplay physics are all from Hardhead, including the janky jump, while maybe graphical assets are from Rough Ranger. In this game you play as Sparkman from South Korea. He is neither a man or a woman, mind you, according to the opening, but we do know his mother was a firewoman, for what that's worth. Just like the games before this, with the exception of Gunny Doll, this is quite behind the times, and it's easy to see why these games never found much success outside of Korea. Saying that, if this game was popular outside of Korea, would we still have Jabba the Hutt and ATST walkers featured in it? Up until now, all of SunA's games have had quite poor BGMs, which were either unimaginative original tunes or crappy remakes of some classic piece. Well, Starfighter steps to an all-new low. We still get the shitty music, but now it's really bad, and the same track for every stage. Couldn't SunA afford a composer, or did they just not think music was important in a game? As for the main gameplay, yeah, it's as dull as you'd expect. The enemy patterns are all over the place, movements of your ship feels empty, and the effectiveness of the bombs is a joke as it renders your ship frozen. Graphically, it's a mixed bag. There are some okayish graphics for 1990, while a lot of it looks pure 8-bit junk. I do wonder if the graphical assets that look fine were ripped from something else, while all the bland stuff is SunA's actual work. Whatever the case may be, it's not effective. Saw the original only a few minutes ago. Well, 3 years later in 1991 came Hardhead 2, and yep, it still features those god-awful ugly looking babies, but now we have the added bonus of seeing their winky whenever they get hit. To be fair, this is a vastly superior game to the original. It's actually playable, but as you may have guessed, lacks appeal. Just like in the original game, you can stomp on enemies' heads to defeat them, but now you can also pick up so many weapons and even power them up. There's other power-ups as well, such as angel wings that allow you to float while jumping. And all manner of crap to collect, most of which I have no idea what they do. I'm sure this game is also ripping off sprite work from other games. Those monkey enemies look suspiciously like Toki, for example. Anyway, so far this is SunA's best game, but for a 1991 arcade game, yeah, it sucks. In 1994, SunA made their very first one-on-one fighter, or should I say they ripped off SNK and Capcom's ideas and mangled them together with their traditional poor art and audio combination. It was also Korea's first arcade fighting action game. Best of the best, while being quite bad, is kinda playable, but only because very clearly many of the moves are ripped off SNK and Capcom. That's not to say everything in this game is copied. There are some unique ideas, such as displaying the special moves you or the CPU pull off at the bottom of the screen. Also, the multiple hits to push objects across the screen before they break. If this game was given some polish to clear up the animation, improve the graphics and add more than just 2 audio tracks, one of which is a lame copy of the Lambada, then it may actually be capable to compete with SNK's lower tier fighters, such as the original Fatal Fury. Years after Best of Best, SunA released Ultra Balloon that starts off with a very bizarre intro including the Phantom of the Opera theme. The game though is just a lame ass Bubble Bobble clone and it doesn't even attempt to hide the fact. As far as Bubble Bobble clones go, this is okay, although some of the area designs are quite poor, resulting in the player being trapped at times. On a positive note, this may be the best looking SunA game so far, although it does contain graphical assets from Hardhead too. After making subpar games for a decade, SunA left us with Backstreet Soccer, which they released in 1996, and I have to say, this isn't bad at all. Yeah, it's using ripped off audio, only this time most of it is sampled, but as for the game, it plays a reasonable five-a-side style game of football. Sure, it's no Pro Evolution Soccer, but for what it is, this title is a good laugh, and that's coming from someone who doesn't really rate sports games.
Kick off. Kick off. Game set.
(1994) also saw the release of SunA's Quiz, a quiz game that features Goku from Dragon Ball, or at least an unlicensed copy of him. Sadly, this one is all in Korean. I have no idea what I'm doing.
나는 말랭꽃부터.
(1992) saw SunA return to their very first game style with Brick Zone. This is quite similar to Gunny Doll, but now with even more clutter over the screen. In addition to falling power-ups, you now have the option to spell out words for extra bonus points or to complete a stage. The game is also kind of educational, as each of the backgrounds, bar the bosses, dictates a famous piece of art which is explained to you upon completing the stage. I'll leave you with Go 2000. Now, it's not officially known if this Hanafuda type game was actually developed by SunA, as there's no documentation on it, nor does the game mention the developer, but it does feature an S and an A on the title screen that resemble what SunA used. SunA did release a few more games before this title, such as Tango Tango. However, those games have never been preserved and therefore impossible to show you, unless I somehow manage to find the real arcade board. So what did you think of SunA's output? Yeah, probably not the best arcade game company out there, are they? Still, an interesting look into the history of Korean arcade gaming.